Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2017 Split 2 OPL Final, coming to you live from Riot Studios here in Sydney, Australia. The Chiefs are taking on the Direwolves. Our first team today is the Direwolves. Minor Premiers, winner of the OPL Split 1 Grand Final, representing Oceania at MSI earlier this year, finishing the regular season with a 9-1 record. Their opponents today will be the Chiefs. Four-time winners of the OPL Grand Final, finishing this regular split in third place, but then storming through the gauntlet, defeating Sin and Legacy on their way to today. The winner of this match will go on to be the first Oceanic representative at the World Championships of League of Legends later on this year in China. My name is Michael Hingis, and it's an absolute pleasure to have your company here today. I'm joined by former mid laner for Legacy and also TM Gaming, Aaron Chich's-Bland, and also current jungler for Sin Gaming, Brandon Juves-Defina. How are you both doing? It's a fantastic day for esports, yes?
Doing good. Would be better if my team's in the finals.
Oh,
but,
look, it's not about that. Come on.
It's not about that, but I mean, we've got a great match today.
Absolutely.
Seems to be, for me, a worrying trend that I'm 1 or 2 games off grand finals and always on the analyst desk.
Yeah, well, you're making the slow transition from washed-up former pro to caster and analyst. You know, that's what's happening, obviously.
Spawn said to me backstage that if you can't teach, you cast. And I can't play, so I guess I'll cast.
All right, well, before we get into the League of Legends today, we have a word from Serianne about a Lenovo competition, and you could win yourself a laptop.
Thanks, Hingers. For every game played in the grand final, Riot is offering you a chance to win a Lenovo gaming laptop. I'll give you a question and you'll need to tag your prediction with the OPL win hashtag on Twitter or Facebook. If you're using Facebook, make sure to set your post to public. As we head into our first game, here is your first chance. Tell us what the total gold earned will be for the grand final, game number 1 between Direwolves and the Chiefs. You have until the end of Champion Select for game 1 to tag your prediction with the OPL win hashtag. For full terms and conditions, head to oce.lolesports.com.
So you got to guess how much gold total there's going to be in that first game.
It's a hard question.
Could be anywhere between, like, I don't know, 80k and like
80K,
190k, I don't know.
160, yeah. I mean, that's a really hard question to answer.
80k is a quick one.
Yeah,
80K is like a 25-minute game.
You know this because of your mid lane knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, just because I play the game.
He's used to getting 25 minutes. That's why.
Got him.
All right, let's talk about this game, shall we? Chiefs versus Direwolves, the grand final of Split 2 for 2017. And my goodness, Choose, where do you want to start with these guys?
I mean, there's carry rolls all over the map. All 10 of these players today are amazing. You can even argue like they're the best players in their roles. So, I mean, this is just a stacked game across the board. Well,
let's take a look at the Direwolves getting ready right now in the OPL studios. And we'll run down their roster. Chippies is their top laner. The Jax Master, the Pentakill Specialist. Their jungler is Schönfire, known for his animal instincts and flashing for that red buff a couple of weeks back there. Fantix, the winner of the Radiant Medal, the MVP of this split, is their mid laner. King, your boy, is their AD carry. And Destiny, friend of the show, winner of Best Haircut for the split, who said this grand final is old dogs out, new dogs in. He is their support player. And traditionally, Direwolves, very vocal. They want to play top side of the map. They want to play through Chippies and Schön.
Yeah, that's Direwolves in a nutshell. Chippies, arguably the best top laner, but then again, you got Swiper, who's shown most improved player. You know, this is probably the lane you got to look out for.
I think it's safe to say Chippies is definitely the best laning top laner in the OPL. I think the discrepancy then comes from what Direwolves put in, what resources they put into top lane, and I think it's also what resources Chiefs are starting to put into top lane, and that's why you find Swiper. You see the Swiper resurgence, the big Titan, the armored Titan himself.
Because historically, Direwolves have kind of played through laning phase. They've laned really well. You know, it's win lane, win game. Is that kind of how they've been doing it for this as well?
Well, I mean, if you can win through lane, why not? Because, I mean, if that's an option to you, and it was an option, that's how they won Split 1 quite convincingly. But especially coming off Rift Rivals, I think they learnt to give their opponents a bit more respect. They're not blind picking Kassadin and Camille when it can get counterpicked. But yeah, you hope so they'd show respect today.
Their opponents today are the Chiefs. 4-time winners. Sorry, 3-time winners of the OPL Grand Final, say. 4-time winners. There you go. And let's go through their lineup, shall we? Big Swip, Swiper is their top laner, winner of the Most Improved Player Award for this split. Spooks is their jungler, Big Sammy D, their jungler. Judging by the gauntlet, is occasionally back on Rift Herald duty for the Chiefs. Swiver is their captain and mid laner. Ray's the perfect player. Doesn't mind when his team feeds because he says, just allows me to carry them harder. Is their AD carry? And Ejim, who lost best haircut to Destiny. So presumably some bad blood on the line today for this team. But Chiefs have had a rocky year, Juves. But I feel like they've made a lot of improvements this split, and they are very vocal that they are saying they're playing at their peak right now.
I think it's one of those ones where, you know, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I think the old dogs have learnt new tricks. I think Jish coming back has kind of reinvigorated that lineup. They have, like, the thing that I noticed is that they have confidence in each other again. I think last split, it was not the blame game, but it was more or less like they were lost. They didn't really know what their identity was. And now with Jish coming back, Jish knows the players so well on an individual level and like what they excel at. And now that they've kind of in their groove, they're all individually playing well. And now the trust, the confidence is just flowing throughout the map. And their macro is just like insane. If you look at the games they've won through Gauntlet, they've been 3 or 4K down. Shout out Sin Gaming. But they've been 3 or 4K down, and then they've just completely turned the game around.
All right. Well, let's narrow down on some players, shall we? I want to talk about mid lane choose,
Sure.
your specialty. And in Fantix and Swiffer, we have two. I think probably two of the best players to ever play on the server. Currently, there's two best mid laners on the server.
You got the MVP of 2015 in Swiffer and the MVP of 2017 in Fantix. And I played against both of these guys countless times in solo queue and even in grand finals. Both of these players are amazing. I think we would give Juves and I were giving the laning phase to Fantix.
If you look at this split, I think you have to give laning phase to Fantix.
Yeah.
But then one thing that Swiffer is the best in the region at, and why he's been such like a force internationally and domestically, is out of lane. He can play from behind. He can snowball his leads, and even if you're pressuring him like really hard in lane, he'll leave the lane and he'll just get a lead somewhere else. I think he's the best by far at doing that.
Swiffer's definitely taken. He's been overseas the most out of any mid laner, and he's taken a lot of knowledge and brought it back home. And he's definitely shown how much you can impact from the mid lane role.
High IQ player.
Interestingly as well, we saw in the Gauntlet some interesting bans coming out to Swiffer.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people banning out that Twisted Fate, which we haven't seen in competitive play at all entirely this year in OPL. But it does mean that potentially behind the scenes, in solo queue, he's playing it a lot. Well, we can check his OPGG, you know that for sure.
Yeah, I've been playing against him a fair bit in solo queue. I can confirm Twisted Fate is a potential pick. It is control mage meta, which is usually the meta that you're allowed to pick Twisted Fate. You're not put under too much pressure by the assassins. So, but as we were talking, Fantix also quite a prominent Twisted Fate player.
Twisted Fate daddy himself.
Yeah.
But no, the reason like we banned Twisted Fate against the Chiefs, because we banned it in Gauntlet, was because it's not something that you play against often, and it just completely changes the team dynamic and how you play in that game. Because there's so much, it offers just so much around the map. Like it doesn't really do much in lane. Like you can set up ganks for it really well, but it's not like a insane solo killing mid lane champ. But it can definitely like just affect the map, and sometimes it's just too hard to recover when it gets ahead.
All right. Well, I think another kind of region of the map we want to talk about is top lane, Juves, because Chippies and Swiper, what you have here is the player who Direwolves want to carry through, and also Swiper, someone who traditionally is more of a tank role, more of a kind of on his island by himself, but he's been changing that this split.
Yeah. So Swiper's gone from like the Maokai kind of gameplay where he's just happy to like play the role he needs in his team to get carried to, I guess, Rumble-esque, where you have to kind of get those little leads in lane, and you've got to get with those little leads, you got to transport them or teleport around the map and use the gold lead you have to help the rest of your team. And that's what he's done really well this split. Is like he's played he's played Rumble, he's even played Cho'Gath, and in the Legacy series in particular, his Cho'Gath kept I would say Chiefs in the game.
Absolutely.
It's like 7-0 dinosaur running around just flash nomming people.
I don't know if Chippies plays Cho'Gath. So I think
he doesn't.
I think he does. But I'm getting really sick of watching him flash eat my AD carry.
Chippies loves to play. Chippies loves to play hyper carries.
Yeah.
Like by hyper carries in the top lane, I mean like his Lucian. He likes his Lucian. He also likes his Gnar. He likes his Fiora. And it's going to be just interesting to see if the Cho'Gath can counteract that.
So let me start with you, Choose. Bearing all of that in mind, and let's get your prediction for today. Who's going to take it all? Direwolves, Chiefs. Who's going to be representing Oceania at Worlds?
Who's going to represent me? I'll give it to Direwolves.
Right.
I think it'll be a 5-game series. I'll say 3-2, but I think they're just too better. I'm too good individually.
Juves?
I'm going to give it to 3-2 to Chiefs. I think that beating Legacy and Sin have given them this like just confidence boost. Yeah. They've learnt a lot. And they're just going to take it into this series.
Interesting. All right. Well, get your predictions in as well. Hashtag Chief win or hashtag Direwolf win on the IamOPL hashtag on Twitter. Let us know your thoughts. Also, if you've got a question you would like answered by one of the pro players, Sarah, we're picking out one for the winning team at the end of the final tonight. So get that in on Twitter as well. Hey, if you're a fan of free skins, we're giving out several thousand Jinjiao Dragon Slayer skins every game. So there'll be instructions in the actual broadcast of the games on how to get those. But for now, it is time for us to get into our first game of this grand final. So earlier this week, we spoke to both teams about what it would mean to represent Oceania at Worlds. Let's see what they had to say.
This will be the best series that Oceania has ever seen. Chiefs are at their peak, we're at our peak, this is it.
I think if both teams play their best, it's going to be a 5-game slugfest.
This is the finals that we deserve to have, because beating Chiefs is like the final step in proving that we're the best team in Oceania.
I think with the form that we're in now, I don't think that they kind of stand a chance.
But Swiffer with the double, they pick up the ace, and Chiefs book their date against Direwolves next Saturday in the grand finals.
6 games fit. That's all it took the Chiefs. 0 losses this gauntlet run, and they are back in form.
Everyone talks about like how the teams have achieved like parity. To go in and make, I guess, like such a statement kind of blows that whole hypothesis out of the water.
Sure, they won 3-0, but 50-minute game and like 2 games where they got like destroyed early. Like they weren't really clean wins by any means.
We actually didn't reveal like anything outside the norm. We didn't throw like a curveball to either team really. So Direwolves are looking at those last 6 games and really gleaning nothing from it.
I think this time it's not that big of an advantage because they just like stomped everyone, so we don't really get to see what they do when they panic. So everything they're saving, they've still got it for us.
We've won versus Sin 3-0, we've won versus Legacy 3-0, and so like we have all the momentum and all of the practice legitimately in the perfect situation we could be coming into finals.
In week 10 when we played Chiefs, it was a pretty hard-fought series which we barely came on top of, and yeah, it'll be a hard series.
Direwolves have always been like our toughest opponent. Their play style is very reliable for them, and you know they put a lot of pressure on you, and it's always a tough match.
They can play early aggression with like a Zac jungle just ganking every lane, but they can also play like Fantix Corki late game scaling sort of comp. So they're a lot harder to like prepare for and draft for.
Their best isn't going to match what we're going to have on the day. We don't have to be our best to beat them. Whether it's 3-2, whether it's 3-0, 3-1, it's going to happen either way, and there's nothing they can do about it.
All year they just talk themselves up, and you know they have been able to back it up. But you know there's just that level of cockiness there, which it can be so infuriating sometimes.
Obviously, Worlds on the line makes the game more important, but I've learned from my losses that I'm not going to look straight at Worlds for now. I'm going to put all my focus on the Chiefs and my opponent's Swiper.
We have had a lot of chances in the past and we've thrown it away, but I think all of us are as hungry as ever. We've never been this hungry before. I can just tell, I can feel it in the air.
Honestly, at this point, I'd be lying if I said like I want to do it for the fans. I want to do it for me. Like we've been trying, and I want to do it for like the rest of the team. We've been trying for so long, and we've come so close.
This is their like end of their careers. This is the last split for them. So to see them 6-0 is good because when we beat them, they have no excuses. This is it.
It's more of a pity type of feeling that I get. And some of these players are going to retire and they're not going to be able to get close to their goal, but at the same time, I like that. That's competition for you. That's competition.
If we do win this series, everyone will just kind of forget about Direwolves because they win one split, but once the upstart gets put back in their place, then like that's all they were. Just another page in history.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the grand final of Split 2 2017 of the OPL. I'm Matthew Fish-Stewart. Joining me is Jake Spontaberry, and we've already heard from both teams. Those were some fighting words, and it means so much for them to try and represent Oceania at Worlds.
Yeah, exactly right. And what Swiffer said there at the end of it, you know, writing history. The Chiefs have won 4 of them so far. Direwolves never had the opportunity yet to go for Worlds. They had a crack at it, Split 1 2015, fell short versus the Chiefs. Before we get into pick Bandfish, Direwolves have never beaten Chiefs in a postseason match. Go back for as long as you want. From when the clubs first came together, they have never beaten them in playoff League of Legends. Chiefs have always been the better. Of course, Direwolves won it last split, but they didn't have to go through the Chiefs Esports Club. And today will mean everything for both of these clubs to be the first team to go to Worlds and represent Oceania.
It's the old gods against the new, the Chiefs, who had a dominant run in Oceanic Esports history against the Direwolves, who recently have surged into becoming a top 3 team and #1 contenders for the title here today. They will want to go internationally once again, represent Oceania once more, whereas Chiefs, who fought so hard for so long to make it to Worlds and almost came close so many times, would like today to be that day where they finally get to represent Oceania. For now, though, the picks and bans have started. Thresh, Corky, Jax, taken away by the Chiefs, with Cassiopeia, Rakan, and Galio banned out by the Direwolves.
And I'm expecting to see the Gragas first pick here. Callista, ooh, that's a little bit different. That's a lot of bottom lane focus, Fish. I want to talk about the Rakan Galio. Chiefs will see neither of them tonight. I do not think their engages were so clean when they picked them up. Cassiopeia is definitely Swiffer's best champion. It shuts down a lot of what Fantix wants to play in the mid lane as well. I think that's a good ban. Chiefs ban, they're a little bit looser. I mean, you get rid of the Thresh. That means that Destiny not going to be able to hook Ejim in the laning phase. Corky as well as Jax, that's some late game scaling and a little bit of 1-3-1 that we know Direwolves want to go towards, but certainly a different feel here.
Next 2 picks to the Direwolves are going to be Xayah as well as Morgana. Morgana is a pick for Ejim most of the time, but Destiny should be picking it up here today.
And I wonder if that's what it's about. They think that it will shut down the support that can come out of Ejim. Obviously, we've not seen Direwolves play this, but we haven't seen Direwolves play in 2 weeks. Gragas as well as, potential support, or a Gnar that we saw the Chiefs lock in so many times in the third side blue pick against Legacy and Sin. See Coach Jish on your screen there. I would like to see the Gnar. That's a confidence pick for Swiper. That means that he would feel that he can get the better of Chippies in this series.
I was going to say it could be Orianna as well, which is another 3rd pick for him when Cassiopeia is banned, but instead they go for the support first. Ejim picks up his Alistar.
And that's interesting, right? Because all of a sudden, the laning phase is going to be hard to navigate for the Alistar. Morgana historically does a very good job. Telegraphed on the headbutt, you can get that Dark Binding in there. Black Shield really ruins his day. But as the game progresses, Ejim will still have big initiation potential. And a champion we haven't seen for a while in the Oceanic Pro League, Fish, has just been locked in as priority.
Zac gets picked up for Schönfire. Last time these 2 teams faced off against one another, it was Schönfire's game on Zac, which costed him the match.
Yep.
He went 0-5 very early on, was bullied around by Spooks, and Gragas has been picked in the LCK quite frequently to bully Zac in the jungle when Jarvan's not available.
Yeah, it just has a better 1, 2, and 3 than what the Zac is going to be able to have. Of course, Zac scales very well, but Gragas also does that. Zac not flash reliant. However, Gragas' initiation is instant when he does have his flash up. So both big tanky front lines and very different feels here. And already they go up top, try and attack Swiper here and get him off comfort.
Yep. Now will be the first ban coming up from the
Ooh,
Direwolves. Cannon follows through as the 2nd ban from the Direwolves.
That's interesting. Maybe they want to play carry into tank here. That's all I can think of. They've got a pick that they want to run a carry, and they don't want Swiper to be able to answer with a carry. Interestingly enough, though, Swiper plays Rumble. So they can't go too oriented towards the carry position, because otherwise they'll just lock in Rumble, and they'll be able to camp out that lane.
But you don't think of Swiper as a Fiora player, as one of those split-pushing champion players like Camille, where his carries have always been ranged base hyper carries like Kennen or Gnar. So this is very curious from Sharp and very good drafting so far by both coaches. Trundle, the final ban from the Chiefs.
And Victor locked in, something that we've seen Fantix use so well against this team already. Probably solo won them that 55-minute game 1 in week 9. Raze jumped into him, Fantix one-hit him, Fish. Just 1 round of spells was all it took for Fantix to clean up that game and secure his team the 2-1 victory. An absolute master. And I've spoken to Swiffer about this in the past. He says that playing against Fantix's Victor is like playing against no one else's. He really controls the lane differently. Winning matchups that you think you have don't go through that way. Orianna is what they have historically used as the answer to this, and we'll see whether the Chiefs go towards the Orianna-Alistar combo that worked so well for them a year ago.
Well, it is a comfort pick for Fantix, especially with his 2 signature champions banned out of Corky and Kassadin. on top of that, denies the Lucian pick, which we've seen internationally very popular in the mid lane. However, Syndra gets locked in as the mid lane pick for Swiffer. Cho'Gath top lane for Swiper, answered by Chippies with a Jace top pick.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting because you would think if Shern is on a better jungle, this game already would be incredibly difficult for the Chiefs to win. We've seen Fantics get control of mid lanes on the Victor. We've seen Chippies pushing top laners. However, if Spooks beats Shern around the map, he's going to have free access to all of these pushing lanes with free kill threat from the Cho'Gath, from the Syndra. So Direwolves, whilst they have pushing lanes, need to decide when they do utilize that advantage. They can't go too early because they can get punished in a big way.
And is that what the Chiefs' plan is? Do they have to punish the Direwolves early? Because we've seen Cho'Gath against Jace in the LCK Grand Finals that sent Long to the Worlds. It went disastrously for Huni.
To be fair, I don't think Chippies is quite Khan yet. Maybe I'll say something different after this game one, but Khan is playing as the best player in the world right now, able to carry his team versus Faker like no one has been able to in a very long time, Fish. But Chippies is a very good Jace, and it is a Jace-focused matchup. Scaling into the late game, however, the Chiefs are running a triple tank comp, which is just going to be so hard to be able to navigate if you are the Direwolves. So Direwolves must win early. I think the Chiefs have the scaling advantage.
Good news stories to Swiper. He has Gragas in his back pocket, which can gank a Jace lane quite well. Very curious to see if Spooks is going to put the time and effort to get into the top lane.
And at level 6, that's pretty much a free kill. If both Cho'Gath and Gragas have Flash available, Flash, Body Slam, Knock Up, Silence, Cask, Bite, there's just so much layering there. And the thing about Chippies is he's going to want to mitigate a lot of that through a Hex Drinker. But of course, the ult from Cho'Gath doesn't really care if you have a Hex Drinker or not, Fish. So I think that this is one of those volatile lanes just based off jungle matchup.
You know, the gentleman himself, his ultimate does true damage, so does not care about anything that Chippy can throw his way. But we are on to Summoner's Rift for the first match of this best of 5 series, the grand finals, the split 2 2017 of the OPL. Before we get the action underway, let's check in with the coach of the Direwolves, Sharp, who is standing by with Sari-Ann.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here with Sharp. Now, Sharp, you've been able to watch the Chiefs play and win 6 games in the Gauntlet. What are some of the things you picked up watching their games?
Yeah, you know, I don't really want to give too much away, but, you know, Chiefs ended up playing pretty standard throughout their games. They weren't really pushed to their limits since the games were just 6 wins in a row. So, you know, Chiefs are a bit lucky in the sense that they didn't drop any games, so they didn't have to get desperate. So, yeah, but I still got a decent amount of information. The
last time you played the Chiefs, you dropped the game with Schönfire, played Zach. Do you think he'll have a better performance on him today?
Yeah, it's just something that it's one of Shern's comfort picks, so I'm pretty confident that he'll have a great performance today.
What does the team have to do today to pick up the series win?
I don't think we need to go out of our bounds, really. We need to just play as we've practiced. We've run through, we've done... we've had a lot of solid practice heading into this finals game, so just stick to our plan. Don't go too crazy and just stick to our win conditions.
Well, best of luck with the series, Sharp, and thanks for talking to us.
All good, thank you.
Very happy to hear from Sharp once again, always getting behind his players, saying, you know what, Schönfire had a bad game, but it's one of his comfort picks. Let's see how he does here. I like what he said in the first round of picks, that he did learn from Jish. And you can kind of see that, in my opinion, from the first 3 bans. Cassiopeia being taken away, which was one of his comfort champions, and he showed he can play Syndra really well into it as well as a counter pick. Yep. And then the Rakan and Galio bans, which means he can kind of take away one to deny the combo if he needs to ban out something else against the Chiefs later on.
Yeah, I think that the Cassiopeia Galio, the Rakan Galio is something that the Chiefs want to use for their free win. We saw them already bust it out once, and having a good game on either the Cho'Gath or the Syndra or something like that is trying to open up that area and allow them to get one of those champions backfish so they can kind of have those big initiations that we expect from them. You can see Swiffer has actually traded a lot of his HP early to be able to shove in Fantics. Obviously wants to give Spooks access to top side of the map. So Swiffer is trading all of his health at the moment for this. However, that means if Shern gets into the mid lane, could be a potential problem. However, Spooks spotted out.
Really good warding by Schönfire. Spots out Spooks as he tries to go in for this red buff engage. Spots him out at the Krug camp as well.
I think this is really smart from Spooks, however, because whilst sure he was spotted out by the ward, in a 1v1 he'll win, and he's not pathing towards top side, meaning he can win here as well. He's going to go over the wall,
gets him, gets the body bot, flash forward from Swiffer, doesn't get enough damage down. Good move from Fantics.
So Fantics burns both summoner spells, however, does get 2 flashes back in return. You can see that they want to shove this in because they did use so much HP. Now Swiper
flashes away. So burns the summoner spell top side of the map. Chippies has been bullying him and is looking to freeze this lane underneath his own turret.
Yeah, exactly right. So he's going to be able to freeze up there. However, once again, the fact that Spooks feels he's stronger in the jungle is allowing him to have a lot of time. Does need to be careful now that he doesn't have his flash available. He doesn't get caught.
He's on top of a ward, and Swiffer has already gone back to base. Fantix is fairly low.
Cut to the wall.
Good interrupt. He'll get slammed back
probably
onto the red
dead
buff. Shock Blast misses from Chippies. That's a lot of damage coming out from the Chiefs, and Fantix collapses as well. No mid laner from the Chiefs means first blood goes to the Direwolves.
And I think that's a disaster from Spooks. As soon as he was caught out, and they had to send Swiffer back to base, I don't think that you can stick around for that invade. I think it's an overreach. You can see that Swiper had also not recalled, so the wave was in a really crappy position for him.
And Schönfire playing.
See where the Aegis goes in now.
Wow, takes a lot of damage here, locked down by the Dark Binding as well.
That
Raze
was a
can't go
very
forward.
lucky Dark Binding, because otherwise Aegis probably would have looked for the pole flash there. You can see that he didn't use it on the headbutt. A little bit of mind games coming out, but Direwolves have started this game beautifully. Exactly how they wanted, controlling top side of the map, ceding a little bit of control down here, but will catch up as the creeps crash onto the turret fish, and nothing really bothering the Wolfpack this early.
Not at all. Schönfire's played this game so well. He was very patient. Didn't go to either his Krugs or his red buff during the time that Spooks was invading him. Made him wander around the map doing absolutely nothing while he got a gank with the Swiper. And we've seen people try to punish the Zac picks with a Gragas or with a Jarvan and being as aggressive as Spooks, but you need your mid and top to be winning in order to do so.
Yeah, and they seem to have caught a little bit of a peek on Aegis here somehow. Maybe they just know he's gone for a roam. You can see also Shern here will bump into Spooks. However, Chippies is just doing such a great job of controlling that top lane wave. With blue buff, it becomes so much easier. Also using his time to spot out Spooks fish. Masterclass from the top laner of the Direwolves.
He's doing really well. Yes, Swiper is holding up on his own in terms of CS, but due to the deficit that Spooks has created, it's going to be even more difficult for the Cho'Gath to survive this lane.
And that's what you have to remember, right? Chippies had the wave frozen, would have been able to build the big CS lead. However, Shern needed help on his buff, so Chippies went over there, grabbed himself a blue buff, as well as the first blood gold. So even though Swiper is even in CS, Chippies could have had the big CS lead, chose not to use it. Very impressive.
Swiper is doing the right thing of staying as far back as possible and letting Chippies push this in. He loses a lot of CS for this, but at least he does not get chunked out or dies.
Yep, the wave will push back towards him. He just needs to be careful that he doesn't give up too much gold or experience. Swiffer will get pulled back. He might be dead here.
He's probably going to fall. Fantix collapsing, pops the ultimate, and that's an easy kill in the mid lane for the Direwolves.
Certainly is. Didn't get the shove back in time. Meant that Shern was able to hit him with the elastic slingshot as well as the arm, so both CC, and that means that Swiffer will fall down. He falls behind in CS, and both of the solo laners right now are getting bullied out, and it's only really the bottom lane of the Chiefs that is standing up against the Direwolves.
Disaster. There's two winning lanes with Zac jungle for the Direwolves, means their mid game is going to be quite powerful. Their bottom lane just has to survive for now. They're doing okay down there. About 300 gold behind Raze at the moment. King.
Aegis.
Couldn't get the headbutt pulverized there, but top side about 600 gold in Chippy's favor. 400 in the mid lane for Fantix. Strong start for the Direwolves.
And this is really smart from Chippies. I mean, he is going to be gated by mana a little bit. You can see that Jaces don't really go the tier build anymore or anything like that fish. So the more that he's able to push up, grab himself some fruit, return gank here.
No flash available for Swiffer. There's too much damage coming out from Fantix. Swiffer dies a second time in the mid lane.
Yeah, and this time it's going to be Shern that takes the kill for himself. He says, you know, I've been doing the team thing. I've been setting up my lanes. This time I need to get tanky. I'm going to be the solo tank. Puts his team up 1,800 goals, get access towards that blue buff. It means also that Swiper's going to have to back off. And the whole map right now is being controlled by the Direwolves jungler.
Blue buff is going to be taken away by the Direwolves here.
Aegis racing out of base towards this. Spooks is also there. This could be risky.
Let's see what they do. Blue buff is very low. Smite's available for Shern, and he will take it for himself. Tries to deliver Spooks towards
No,
Fantix.
he actually didn't. So that's key. He just wanted to escape by himself. The reason that he didn't use the elastic slingshot is it can be interrupted. When you go into ultimate, you can't be interrupted. So he just wanted to get the heck out of dodge over the wall. He knew that the Alistar was probably heading up. He knew that Spooks was there with the ultimate, and Cho'Gath could probably eat him for a kill. So he just used the ultimate as the escape tool this time around.
So really clean coming out from Schönfire this match so far. A redemption game after his last Zac match against the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago. Doing really well. At the start of this match, Direwolves are 2,000 gold in the lead.
And you really do have to sing the praise of the Direwolves right now, because the Chiefs last week looked unstoppable. They had some quiet starts against Sin Gaming, but apart from that, really did not falter all that much. And we'll see whether they can recover what has been a disastrous early game so far.
Spooks is now making his way down towards the bottom side of the map. Neither jungler is in the top side. He'll spot out Schönfire as well.
But nothing all that much happening. I mean, Spooks goes in, tries to get some vision. He's lost track of Schön too many times. And you can see Schön already sitting on the completed jungle item. Is just much more effective at this stage of the game.
And this is the only lane that's doing well for the Chiefs so far. Raze and Ejim being very aggressive against King of Destiny, but that's a couple of turret shots, and Raze has to be very careful about that.
If I'm Raze, I'm a little bit upset that that turret hit me, because it looked like he was very far back, although now Spooks is here. Doesn't pull the trigger on it though, Fish.
Backs out. Very cautious without the minion wave close to the turrets in the bottom lane. Swiffer is making his way down through the river. Will be spotted out by Ward as soon as he gets close. Let's see how the Direwolves punish this play.
Yeah, they're going to look to go top. You can see Swiper already used his feats, doesn't have any mana, needs to get off the turret because he will die.
He's going to get locked down. Schönfire still has his passive, so Swiper can't do much. Delivered even further towards the lane. Schön doesn't even lose his passive. He's just that tanky, and Direwolves take down Swiper in the top lane.
In saying that, that's a good trade for the Chiefs. If they can keep that turret up, then that is 1,000 gold for first turret versus just the 600 for a kill. So is a good trade. Swiper shouldn't have died. He should have backed off the turret, to be brutally honest. A little bit undisciplined there from the Chiefs player. However, now Swiffer has caught out Schön.
Is it going to be a kill here? Swiffer throws the ultimate out. Elastic Slingshot comes through, and through the ultimate, Schönfire doesn't get taken down.
Yeah, and that's just Swiffer trying to kick him out of the forest. However, I mean, ultimate burnt, nothing gained. Chiefs mid laner, a little bit of frustration maybe there, Fish. Not being able to calculate what he needs to be able to take down Schön. He's down 13 CS as well. And the Chiefs really are behind. I mean, even with the first turret pickup, they're still 1,400 gold behind, Fish.
Yeah, they were already 12,000 gold down before that turret
12,000 gold?
Sorry, 2,000 gold down.
All right, just
before
checking.
that turret pickup. Let's see if they can get another objective here. As they've started up the Mountain Dragon. Kalista helps with securing these objectives very easily, thanks to all the spears she will stack into the dragon.
And this is the interesting thing, is that it's going to be Raze on a carry that you wouldn't call a hyper carry because it doesn't use crit, but does much more consistent damage as the game progresses than you would maybe expect. Also, will build double, or maybe even triple if you count the Hex Drinker that will potentially come out of Raze. Lifesteal item as the game progresses, which is going to make him pretty difficult to kill. And he's up 700 gold right now. Same as what Fantix is in the mid lane, and Fantix has already shown that he can carry a game on the Victor.
Yep.
Interested to see if Raze can do the same here.
I know something you like to talk about, Swan, is the fact that Direwolves have run double threat with Jace and Victor in their solo lanes means their only real front line is going to be Schönfire, especially with Morgana support.
Yeah, and that's what we normally see is if they're going to run this comp. Generally, Destiny's on something tanky, like not a huge tank. Destiny not really known from his beefy frontliners, but something like a Thresh or along those lines, maybe even a Blitzcrank Fish that can frontline a little bit. Once again, 3 members heading into Swiper's lane. He is probably going to get dove again and maybe even will die.
He's got no rupture here. Schönfire's going to tank up the turret. Feast is available for Swiper. Chippies collapses on top of him and picks up another kill in the top lane.
Yeah, and it's just an absolute disaster. He even burns the flash that time around. Don't know what he's really flashing away from there because they both still have flash available. So instead of pushing down this turret, you can see the Direwolves are just returning there again and again and trying to create a gold advantage. Why the Alistar as well as the Kalista aren't top lane after pushing down that dragon, I actually don't know, Fish. Definitely a question that the Chiefs would have to be asking themselves right now.
Since no one from the Chiefs has punished Schönfire early, popped his passive, Swiper can't defend himself. His options there are to try and take down Schönfire while he's taking the turret, but with passive up, Zac is not going to die in that situation.
Exactly right. I mean, not even going to be needing a teleport or anything like that to save himself. Both these teams are now going to turn the map on its head.
Yeah, now they swap up AD carry support towards top side of the map, and Jace will be able to freeze this lane even deeper if he wants to against Cho'Gath, who is so far behind.
I mean, I don't think Cho'Gath really cares about that. I think that what they need to do is start pressuring things like Herald and top lane turret, and the Chiefs need to open this map up because they want to accelerate the pace at which you're getting gold right now, because that means that they'll get towards team fights a little bit quicker. And maybe, just maybe, will allow them to regain some kind of control. The longer this stays in a long laning phase, the more that it suits the Direwolves, to be truth be told, Fish. So I actually think that the Chiefs have made the right call by trying to get Swiper into the bottom lane. You can just pick up things like Krugs whenever his feast is available. And hopefully, if you're a Chiefs fan, they can pick up a top lane turret.
Well, there he is, the Krug Goblin himself, working on that jungle camp right now. His feast is down, but we'll still be able to nom away at that. But this kind of shows us the big differences that we thought were between the Chiefs and Direwolves very early on into the split. Direwolves, lane-focused team. Win lane, win game, hyper-aggressive, scale up, and snowball.
2-level advantage right now for Shern.
Ooh. Even through catch-up mechanics, that is quite disgusting.
I mean, they'll start kicking in now. He just ticked 2 levels over him. They're trying to bait this. They have everyone here.
Harold's coming down as well. Egypt's not going to get interrupted for that, but they lock down Spooks to kick things off.
Here we go. He might be dead.
Destiny throws out the Dark Binding, delivered further into the team as well. As Spooks falls, gets his ultimate off, but no one from the Direwolves is being threatened here. Rift Herald is deployed, but only gets a charge in the mid lane outer.
And the Direwolves were just quicker to respond than what the Chiefs thought they would be. I mean, we could see that they were charging up for that. Don't know really why Egypt went for that play, because they kind of knew where Shern was going to be. They tried to bait out a pink ward fight, it looked like. But with Rift Herald on top of that, that just meant no CC came out at the start. And Swiffer still so far behind. Can't do any damage in this game.
We were praising Chiefs for their great macro play so far. Dragon, you know, first turret, and Rift Herald picked up while being 4 kills down at the time. That was big plays to bring them back into the game. But they have to execute with these objectives. If not, they're just going to stay further and further behind the Direwolves in this game.
Yeah, they certainly will. They can look to up the tempo here again, Fish, and maybe grab themselves another turret. King has both summoners as well as the ultimate available, so he's very hard to dive.
Shernfire is not close towards top side of the map just yet. So let's see if Ray's going to be able to get some damage on these turrets. Already trying to go at King.
But they just back away. They know that, you know, with Chippy's in base level 11 at the moment, 140 CS, definitely going with the clock. He's going to be able to get there first. Ardent Sensor picked up for Destiny. Everything right now just looks in Direwolves' favor. 3,000 gold is the lead. We've seen bigger gold overcome. However, Shern now top lane.
Gray's going to get jumped on by Shern. Elastic Slingshot misses, but Rubber Hands only connects into Egypt. He pops his own ultimate, and the Chiefs want to stay in this fight. King on the front lines for now. Spooks was deployed into the top lane, so all they get for that is Egypt's ultimate.
But that's a really nice game, because all of a sudden they can't play aggressively. Egypt has no ulti anymore. You said it yourself. Now he's not tanky at all. And it just means that they can't play that aggro. You can see that Shern is going to continue to bully Spooks. Just picks himself up another Rift Herald in front of the jungler of the Chiefs.
Swiper trying to turn around to be a bit aggressive here against Chippies. Righteous Glory is up, so if Chippies is ever at half health and Cho'Gath has his feast, he needs to be very careful. Chippies will still be able to bully him down in the bottom lane. The turret that is left there is the saving grace for Swiper at the moment.
Yeah, that's what you can see, is that turret is really starting to help out Swiper. Chippy still needs to be respectful that he's in the longest lane on the map, and they might have caught him.
Ooh, he's forced to flash over the wall. Spooks gets delivered back in towards the Direwolves jungle once again. Fantix locked down by Swiffer. Spooks low, Ray's flashing on top of him. Egypt going forward as well. Fantix used his flash, but he drops the base on top of the entire Chiefs squad. He'll flash out, so will Shernfire, and somehow the Direwolves escape this fight. King now wants to get in there.
Oh.
Double knockup. It's going to be Shernfire that goes back in. Finally, his passive gets popped, and it will be Egypt. That's the first casualty. The Chiefs do respond by taking down Shernfire. Massive stun from them. Swiper flashes forward. Spooks gets the kill on top of that. 2-for-1 trade in favor of the Chiefs.
But why are the Direwolves still trying to walk through that choke point? That team fight went so well for them because they used so many spell rotations, and King had everything still up and available. However, then they push it a little bit too far. They channel into the choke point, and that should mean the Chiefs pick themselves up an Infernal Drake, which if you're the scaling comp Fish, gives you a little tiny glimpse of hope into this game.
And they've once again stopped the bleeding. Yes, now still 2,500 gold behind the Direwolves, but that lead was slowly getting even further and further away.
And this started so well. I mean, they get Spooks, they chunk him out. But this is when it starts getting dicey. Raze flashes forward, they get everything onto Fantix, burns both Summoners. And I'm thinking they just can back away. Chiefs are probably not going to commit to the Dragon. If they do, then you can approach. Instead, multiple people through the choke point. Summoner spells had to be burnt here, as well as the ultimate. And then it's the third time. The Chiefs back away after this, and one more time, all 3 Direwolves members go back through that choke point. And that's not good enough. All of a sudden, they get blown up. There's no mana left available. Fantix without Summoner spells can't approach the team fight. And the Direwolves just with a sloppy approach on what was a team fight they should have won.
This is starting to look like game 1 of week 9 of the OPL.
Looks exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Direwolves winning the lane, looking like they're going to win the game and snowball. But the Chiefs, big macro plays. They've got Rift Herald and 2 Dragons. First turret picked up, beating Direwolves to that team fight as well. You have to think eventually Chiefs will be able to nullify this gold lead, and it's going to be down to team fights between the 2 teams.
And this time around, they don't have to wait for Swiper to be a situational tank. He's just going to be a huge tank. And I think the difference between, you know, someone like Khan, someone like Longzhu, and what the Direwolves were able to do is that they didn't camp just the mid lane. As now Shern going to look to come over the wall.
Cancels his elastic sleeve shot as the Chiefs get more damage into that mid lane outer turret. Grouped up as 4.
And what I mean by that is, sure, Chippies, he's up in CS, he's 3-0-1. But you can see that they're equal experience right now. Swiper is getting tanky. That means that Chippies had to go towards a Black Cleaver before he can really start bullying him out. And that was because Shern ganked Swiffer 3 times. I mean, it's good. Swiffer well and truly was shut down in this early game. However, it did not mean that Chippies is a split pushing to the end of the earth, 1v1, potential carry for this entire game.
Which is the difference here. Chippies and Fantix have picked up comfort laners to get Schönfire ahead because he's on Zac, and against Gragas doesn't do very well. Whereas in that LCK match, they picked up Gragas as well as Talia to complement the Jace and get the Jace ahead. Chippies is not being given the resources he needs, but he's still ahead. Just not snowballing ahead at the moment, and slowly Swiper will catch up.
He's very far ahead. Like, let's not make any mistake on that. He is much stronger. If he ever lands an accelerated shock blast onto Raze, Raze takes a lot of damage. But as far as, you know, 1v1 split pushing goes, he's not far enough ahead to win this game just as the Jace pick.
You can already see Swiper now. He's more than happy to hold his own in that lane against the Jace.
Well, no damage has gone down onto that turret. Honestly, Swiper's just being a brick. He is absolutely clogged up that lane. And given how low this turret is, if we can just scroll down on that turret for a second. No, we're going somewhere else. Yeah, that one. Look how low that turret is. That's the first 15 minutes of the game versus what's happened for the next, you know, 6 or 7.
And look now, Swiper says, I will fight you. I'm more than happy to go toe-to-toe against you, Jace. And with my feast up, I am definitely a threat.
And he jumped back in. I mean, that's very brave. We could just see that Swiper was able to approach him, get down a lot of damage. Ejim going back to base means that they could take the turret here. That would be fantastic for Direwolves.
Big item pickup for Ejim. He has the Aegis of Legion, so giving him the resistances he needs to stay tanky without his ultimate.
Also giving something to just nullify a little bit of what Fantix is going to be doing in these fights. You can see, you know, accelerated shock blast combo into Schönfire, into Fantix is going to be a lot of AoE damage. Keeping the whole team healthy will be a priority here.
But for now, just going to clear out some wards in the river. Schönfire doing a good job of spotting out Spurix, who has finally caught up in levels with the Direwolves jungler.
However, I think it's very fair to say that Direwolves are still in control of this game. We are not yet that late that a 3,000 gold lead can just be ignored.
Yep.
And with more standing gold on the map, you know, with the ability to take Baron, things like that, they can explode into this mid game. They just need to make sure they don't make another team fighting mistake like they did approaching that Infernal.
I mean, Direwolves have 2 auto-attacking based champions of Jace as well as the Xayah, and they've got Knight's Vow with Ardent Sensor picked up. So that's a big power spike for both Chippies as well as Kings, who have some good items themselves.
Potentially 5-man stack coming into this top lane. Fish, don't want to interrupt you, mate, but they've already got Shern and Destiny up here. Fantix approaching, as well as Chippies. Chiefs need to get out.
Let's see what they decide to do. Schönfire's going to jump deep into the back lines, misses both Elastic Slingshot and the Rubber Hands. However, top lane outer turret falls, and Direwolves are now 4,000 gold in the lead.
Fantastic rotation from the Direwolves there. That's unpunishable. The biggest tank that you have on your team with a black shield cannot get caught out. And you can see that they had the waves pushed enough that the Chiefs can't respond on the opposite side of the map. Hats off to whoever called that play, because it was at a fantastic time. Got some big power spikes coming out now for the Direwolves.
Destiny has also looked really good on this Morgana. We've already mentioned that, during the haircut competition, anything EG can do, Destiny can do better. He's trying to do the exact same thing here today on this Morgana pick. I've barely seen him miss a Dark Binding. Even then against Spooks, who was trying to juke for his life. Refused to miss. In this mid lane though, Swiffer has now got his Banshee's Veil as well as Morello Nomcon, getting ganked again by Shernfire. Flashes away from the rubber hands, gets back to safety.
Yeah, good flash there. I mean, Dragon is spawning in 30 seconds. Don't know what it is, but you don't want to get caught out if that's the case. Mountain Drake coming up, something the Chiefs would love to secure, given the fact that they have Cho'Gath as well as Callista.
Mountain Dragon is just a good dragon to have when you're behind anyway. Gives you more time to take down these... you have less time to take down these objectives.
I get what you're trying to mean.
Speeds it up a bit more. Good Black Shield coming out from Destiny once again. Saves King.
Certainly does, but now it's down for quite some time. See whether they can make anything happen here. Shern's still up A level, but it's not what it was.
Does have the Knight's Vow, whereas Spooks does not. So a bit tankier, provides more assistance to his team.
And if the Chiefs don't force right now, Swift is going to run out of mana eventually, Fish.
Another good Dark Binding comes out from Destiny.
And that top lane turret will fall down.
Gotta be careful. Swiper is down here, so the Chiefs really want to secure this objective. Teleport is up and available for Chippies if he decides to join this fight.
Surely they just eat and rip out the spears. Don't even eat it.
But the Direwolves are forcing a fight. Collapsing on towards Swiper first. Shernfire takes some damage, but they lock down the big tank from the Chiefs and kill him straight away. Chippies has joined the fight with Teleport as well. Dragon picked up by the Chiefs, but a kill being picked up by the Direwolves, whereas Swiffer, that is way too over-aggressive. Egypt jumps in, Spook separates the team, Raze pulls his support back out, and they will be able to escape for now. Shernfire jumps in with the Black Shield, and he's going to be taking down Swiffer, delivering Egypt back into the team as well. Clinical team fight for the Direwolves, and what the heck are the Chiefs doing?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit too aggressive there. They wanted to chunk them out. They wanted to make sure that no Baron play was available. However, they might have just given it up, Fish. 10 seconds left on Swiper. Raises in the bottom lane. Actually, the opposite side of the map that you want, and they know that's where the Direwolves are going. Spooks can go for a steal. There is no solid secure here. You can also drop a warding, maybe get Swiper in there. The feast will be higher than anything they can go for. See whether the Chiefs try and fight this one.
Already very low. Spooks looking to see if he can jump into this pit. Everyone from the Direwolves is trying to stop him. Jumps over, but it's way too healthy. And Direwolves get a kill, secure Baron. And they are so far ahead in game one.
You can just see how practiced Direwolves are at keeping them out of the pit. Let's take another look at this. The Chiefs are split. They don't want a team fight, obviously. They think that Swipe is going to be fine. And I think just leaving it at one death might have been the right thing, because with the teleport, the Chiefs were actually A-OK up until this point. But as you mentioned, Swiffer steeps his head in here, gets a big stun, but then takes so much return damage, gets blown up. Egypt has to burn his ult already. And Shern's engage is just from so far away. Black Shield on him means he can't be stopped. Flashes have to be burnt. Egypt gets taken back into the team. And with 3 members dead, the Chiefs cannot contest Baron. And with Baron, this pushing team is going to have every advantage.
Solid team fights coming out from the Direwolves. 8,000 gold up. Raze was able to take a turret for himself during that time, but the Chiefs are just so far behind.
Yeah, they certainly are. And now this is where they have to start turtling, prove that they can do it yet again. One more time, Shern is up 2 levels. 3-1-8 versus 1-3-1. Has completely had Spooks' number in this game number 1. And showing that they've used that time off to practice very effectively.
Certainly have. In fact, with 3 very interesting picks coming up from the Direwolves. Jace, as well as the Victor and Morgana, picked up in game 1.
Don't know how I feel about this. They throw lots of people into the bottom lane, Fish. Chiefs won't answer with anything down mid lane. But with mid lane turret so low, that was a little bit risky. However, does just lead to another turret. 9,000 gold up.
And they get the final outer turret of the game, pushing them even further ahead. You'd expect by the end of this Baron buff, Direwolves will be over 10,000 gold ahead of the Chiefs. And a very strong start in game 1. Must be making them feel confident heading into game 2.
And it'll be interesting to see what the Chiefs' response is, because we haven't seen the Chiefs lose a game in this gauntlet just yet. They would be feeling unstoppable again. Here we go.
Righteous Glory being thrown towards Fantix. Swiper will be able to slow him down. Silence, Rupture misses, and Fantix with the blue suede shoes avoids all that damage. Swiffer comes back in, throws his full combo, not enough to take him down, and 2-on-1! Fantix styles on the Chiefs!
Certainly does, and with that, they're also going to break the base. The Chiefs get desperate. Even though they have their scaling, they know they're so far behind, and now the Direwolves really make them pay.
That is why Fantix is the bloody MVP of this split. 2-on-1 against the two solo laners of the Chiefs, unlocking the Direwolves. They are now propelled even further ahead, fighting in between turrets. They want this mid lane inner.
Yeah, they certainly do, and we'll see whether they're going to be able to push up. Wave clear still there for the Chiefs, but you can see they're just tanking it, Fish, with that black shield. Chippies is even a pseudo tank at this stage of the game. And 13,000 gold. You said if it was 10, it would be all right. 13,000 gold is now the lead for the Direwolves.
And just 29 minutes into the match. This is a statement of game number one. Yes, Chiefs have been looking good in terms of macro play, but everything else is falling apart for them.
Just looks like they can never fight. Looks like if they're trying to beat them around the map, trying to sneak objectives, they're fine. But as soon as they go for that head-to-head, that team fight, that the Direwolves on a micro level are just coming out time and time again as the better people. And I'm really interested to see, is there an adaptation here? Do you have to get Chippies off the carries? Because he's 70 CS up, 4-0-3, having a very good game. Is it the Zac? I mean, is it the Victor? There's just so many champion picks that you could point out right now and say that is the problem.
Or was this Sharp setting up Chippies for success in the Jace, taking away both Kennen and Nah, who have okay-ish matchups into Jace, whereas Cho'Gath is an incredibly poor matchup into this champion. Swiper's been very vocal about how he wants to be a carry player, but he only has a limited pool of champions right now. Direwolves are looking to try and take down this top lane in a turret. Everyone is up on the top side of the map. Chiefs want to defend this, but it's going to be so difficult.
Yeah, Baron buff expiring. So it's gone for all the members now. They go in.
That's the Hail Mary play. They lock down Fantix, but they can't kill him just yet. Redemption comes through, keeping the mid lane of the Direwolves alive. Raze will be knocked back here, dropping the base on top of everyone else. That's all over. Swiffer's running away. Swiper's trying to be a nuisance. Big pulverize coming out from Egypt, but is it enough? It is surely not, as 4 members of the Chiefs fall.
And that'll do it for game one. Swiffer does pick up Destiny on the back end, but you can see base is already in tatters, and they're going to look to teleport in and close this one out in 30 minutes.
Chippies looking to try and get in underneath this Nexus turret. Swiffer, the last man standing for the Chiefs, but he just doesn't have enough left in him to defend his base. The Hail Mary play from Spooks did not work, but it's a clinical game one for the Direwolves.
And you can see the Direwolves are actually pretty composed after that one, Fish.
Oh, but I could hear them. There was a big let's go coming out from one of their players right there.
But
they are pumped.
Yeah, they're pumped, but I mean, I'm looking at Fantix right now. He doesn't look that worried. Just takes a sip out of his water bottle.
The MVP never looks worried, Spawn.
And the Chiefs, I mean, they had a good bottom lane, but the rest of the map was in tatters. I don't think that you can let Swiffer get camped that hard, especially when Sam, Spooks, should have had the faster jungling matchup.
He had a poor game, Spooks. Completely read by Shunfire. Spent so much time in his jungle, got nothing for it, taken down as well.
Yep.
That impacted Swiffer. That impacted Swiper. And it was a domino effect from there. Eventually, the bottom lane was not enough for the Chiefs. One teamfight than Direwolves propelled them so far ahead.
Yeah, exactly right. And you can see the Chiefs, they got themselves a couple of team fights, but it was never a clean ace. It was, they're on low health, we can pick up a turret. Or they're on low health, yeah, we can sneak an Infernal Dragon now. Every single time the Direwolves fought, they were taking down 3, 4 members. That's a Baron. Now we're breaking into their base. They've just used so much on Fantix. We're able to take multiple inhibitors. And I mean, that was just, I think, greedy play coming out of the Chiefs. They wanted to take the maximum, and they just were punished every single time.
And you know, normally when you look at a Direwolves match, sometimes even though they're so dominant, you could say, maybe the Chiefs could punish X or Y or Z. A mistake made by the Direwolves. That looked flawless. I don't see a part of the game plan where it was devastating for them in any way.
I mean, I don't see a part of the game plan that was devastating, but their duo lane was like 30 CS down. So, like, whilst you can say flawless, they lost first turret. They gave up 3 dragons when they were ahead. They did have a sloppy team fight. I think it was a very good game out of the Direwolves, but I'm not yet ready to call that flawless because there were certainly mistakes still to be capitalized on there for the Chiefs.
But they're still going to be very happy with that game one.
As they should be. I mean, they won game 1 in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it was still a very commanding victory. I just think that Sharp would be regrounding his team right now and saying, when we're 5,000 gold up, when we've got a 6-kill advantage, how are we giving up first turret? Why are they beating us in Dragon team fights? We're better than this. We should be stomping them.
We'll have to see if they can do just that heading into game number 2. The Chiefs as well, they have to change something because that draft from Jish did not work out for them in the early game.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the draft from Jish or just how Spooks played the early game. I actually thought taking away the Gragas, making sure that he had the better jungler in a lane that was going to get pushed in so heavily, was something that made a lot of sense. Spooks just didn't play like that. He was invading needlessly, wasn't really keeping tabs on Schoenfire, instead was just trying to go for camps, which was a little bit greedy.
And unfortunately, that costed the Chiefs the match here today. Game 1 goes to the Direwolves, still a best-of-5 series, and to break down that game a little bit further, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
The Chiefs unable to take that first game from Direwolves. Direwolves proving too strong, and they led that game from start to finish. Choose, give me your initial thoughts on that.
That was a good game 1. I don't think it like looked, even though it was a stomp at the end, I think that game was a lot closer, especially since Direwolves got an early game lead. I think Chiefs did a really good job of staying into that game. Like they got three dragons. They lost a couple team fights, but I thought they did really well maintaining their relevance in that game.
And I also saw that a lot of people were saying that they thought that the Chiefs outscaled Direwolves. I think it was the complete opposite. I think Zaya outscales Kalista. I think Victor outscales Syndra, and I think Zach outscales Gragas. And so I think that once the early game kind of went downhill for Chiefs, Choo-Choo's asked me how do Chiefs get back into this game? What's their play? I said I don't think they have one. They missed the opportunity. It was obviously playing around bot side, but
they had a couple like good chances to get back into the game, like the level 6 dive. The thing that secured them first blood tower was like a great play by them. That's Chiefs macro.
Yeah,
that's like the stuff that not many other teams would be able to pull off.
But you can't lose an early game that hard with an early game. So you have like Kalista, Alistar, Gragas into like Zach, Victor with the Syndra. You just can't lose early game.
Yeah. What I really want to talk about is the ganks on mid lane. I think Swiffer, I don't want to say he played bad, but he didn't give enough respect to the Zach pick. You don't really play against Zach too much, but the first gank that happened this game was by Spooks, and Spooks forced double flash. He forced Victor's flash.
And then Swiffer also flashed.
But then Swiffer flashed. And this came back and bit them. Because when Schoenfire realized, okay, it's my turn to come gank, Swiffer didn't have flash.
Yeah.
And that's what eventually blown up and was the first blood kill.
All right, before we get to these replays, if you're watching at home and are getting engaged with the Lenovo prize, the Lenovo competition for today, let's take a look at what the question will be for game number 2.
Thanks, Hingers. For every game played in the grand final, Riot is offering you a chance to win a Lenovo gaming laptop. I'll give you a question and you'll need to tag your prediction with the OPL win hashtag on Twitter or Facebook. If you're using Facebook, make sure to set your post to public. Tell us what the total damage dealt to champions will be for the grand final game number 2 between Direwolves and the Chiefs. You have until the end of Champion Select for game 2 to tag your prediction with the OPL win hashtag. For full terms and conditions, head to oce.lolesports.com.
Total damage to champions will be the guessing game for game number 2. We've got to do that early to give people a chance to get their predictions in before the end of Champion Select.
Total damage?
Yeah.
That is impossible.
Hey man, you're winning a Lenovo. You're living a high-end Lenovo laptop.
Total damage. That is actually the hardest question. Like, I thought total gold was hard. Total damage. That is actually... I don't know, man. Okay.
All right, well,
I like to see the guesses.
Now that people are working on their guesses, let us talk about the replays and the games for that first game. Direwolves too strong, and Chiefs kind of... I feel like well, Direwolves led from start to finish, Choo-Choos. And I think the first thing we were talking about, Schoenfire ganking mid lane.
Yeah, so Spooks force flash from Victor, but the real bad thing was that Simon burned flash. So Swiffer doesn't have flash. He gets a nice combo from Schoenfire, really just locks him down quite easily. Has to burn the heal as well. This is what really snowballs the game. As soon as you alter that mid lane, especially when it's a control mage matchup, Fantix now has that little lead. And with Fantix get the little lead, he runs off with it. So we could see that as we praise Swiffer, Swiffer's known to roam and have that potential to, if he is in a, like a even matchup, but that kind of nullified that whole play style.
Yeah, but my whole problem with that was like they just gave away the complete early game from like Spooks invaded red buff.
And the first blood.
Yeah, on the first blood. Spooks invaded red buff while his mid laner was in base. And like, yes, that like was a prime example as like how the game started slowly going downhill. I think it was like an accumulation of those things to lead to like that big play there where there was no flash on the mid laner and he just got punished for it.
I guess my point, I guess that's my point. Like Swiffer burning flash, he didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
When Gragas combos, generally a mid laner will flash because that's all you really need to do.
Yeah.
Syndra has a stun, but for him to flash and all in and then only trading it for Victor flash and then playing that far up the lane, not showing respect to Shernfire and Shernfire's Zac, I think every single gank he got off that game forced a flash or a kill.
Yeah.
He
so
just ran top and killed Swiper.
Yeah,
and
that
then he
was
ran
an
back
insane
mid
game.
and Swiffer died as well. And yeah, like I think that was like a perfect game coming from Shernfire.
Meanwhile then, for the Chiefs, there was really, Jibs, only one good team fight for them in this game.
Yeah, it was around the Dragon Pit. And so you can see here, it kind of looks like this is going to go bad for Spooks. He gets like, I guess, kidnapped. And then they just like go hard engage on Victor here. And the Victors are still like the shields that come through, the heal comes through. And they kite it out and they do relatively well to make it out alive. But then heads up play from Ejim here. He walks back in, forces the Xayah ult, and then Zac passive comes through. But this is, I guess you would think that this isn't really a good trade for Chiefs here, but it was a 1-for-1.
2-for-1.
2-for-1, sorry. Yeah, follows in. Yeah, the kill there. There you go. So it's a 2-for-1, but that's like an exceptional trade for the Chiefs at that point in the game because like I think they were down like 3 or 4K already.
Yeah.
They were losing control of the map. So like if you're able to force fights like that, make 2 picks each time, if you can do that 3 or 4 times, you can like kind of snowball your way back into the game.
My issue is that Direwolves kept trying to team fight.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, why are you trying to team fight when you have a Jace top? You have Zac Morgana, so Zac can get in the gauge, can't be interrupted. But like, you have a split push champion that is your win condition. He got first blood, blue buff, had a really good early lead. But every single time they tried to team fight, you could see this is where Chiefs comp was a lot better at, and that's why that team fight was so close.
I just think they got outplayed. Like they just got outplayed there. Like that was really well played from Chiefs. I don't think that there was anything to do with the champions there. I think it was just really well played from Ejim to walk back in, force Xayah ult for free. And he had no ulti on either.
Yeah.
Alistair had no ult.
He'd already
left.
burnt it.
Yeah. And then they basically, Chiefs just kited that out so well, and Direwolves chased them. But I wouldn't say that it was necessarily like anything to do with the champions. The Chiefs actually just played that exceptionally well.
Okay, well,
agree to disagree?
Disagree?
Go to your next replay, and I'll bring it up again.
Yeah, because there was that final fight. The fight that was really the nail in the coffin was near the Dragon, Jibs, and it led to Direwolves taking
near the
Baron.
Dragon.
Yeah, it was at the Dragon again. No, but this one was poorly played by the Chiefs.
Look at this. Cho has flash.
No, but this is poorly played because the comms here at this Dragon, for me, what it seems like is like, let's just get the Dragon and get out. And then they were like, oh, wait, no, let's fight. And they were all on different pages here. And then that's why Swiper didn't use his flash. And then here, what Swiffer did, if this game was 0-0, I'm going to say that play from Swiffer is a really good play.
Yeah.
Because he would actually like one-shot that team and one-shot one of the carries. But what I think Swiffer didn't realize there is he's playing from behind. Yeah. And I harped on about how good he is from playing from behind and like how good his I guess map movements are. But I don't have a problem with that play. That play itself was good if he's ahead or even.
Yeah,
but he was not.
He was not.
Yeah, but he was not.
So are you praising him for doing
No,
it?
no.
Even then,
I'm not
he-
praising him, but I'm saying in an even game, that was, I think, like the right idea.
So could he have hit the stun and then backed out?
Hit the stun and just back out. And then they can't get Baron.
Yeah.
You got Dragon. You lost 1 pick.
Yeah.
You have 2 Mountain Drakes now.
But
They had
then-
2 Mountain Drakes. They
Yeah.
could just force Baron.
But
2 mountains and an infernal.
and the
so
Infernal.
They,
They
so
were
What
in
I
a good
wanted to
spot.
say is they forced Jace TP at the start of that team fight. Shogav had flash. If the call was to get Dragon and get out, you just burnt Jace TP. Why not just get out?
Because it's an OPL
Or
Grand
even-
Final when everyone's nervous.
That's true. That's true.
Woo, you think nerves are getting
Fine,
in?
you win. You win.
This is the thing. You got to remember the last time Chiefs played in the grand final, they were undefeated in that grand final. You know, so they're not used to
That was
losing a
against
game
me.
one in the final. It was against you, Aaron.
I got 3-0 on stage in Brisbane.
That wasn't an intentional
Thanks
thing
for
for me to bring
bringing it
up.
up,
It wasn't
Angus.
intentional. I'm
Thanks
sorry
for
about that. I didn't mean to trick you here
Look
on
at
the
this
desk.
damage,
But what I
though.
mean is, in terms of mental fortitude or resilience in this, I mean, they've never lost a game. Sorry, last year they didn't lose a game in the grand final. This grand final, they're already down one game.
I think Chiefs are pretty headstrong. I think this game will not mean much in the context of the series. I mean, obviously it means a lot that you've got one win already.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that it's not like, okay, like we've won one game, Chiefs are tilted, like this series is over. I think if anything, the Chiefs are going to be, I guess, I think there's there's positives to take for both teams, but I think the positive that we'll take from the Chiefs is that with a horrendous early game, we did not fall that far behind.
Yes.
We were able to stabilize the game until a certain point, and then I think that the nail in the coffin was just the decision making wasn't it wasn't crisp, it wasn't clear, and that's what we saw at the final replay where they got caught.
Like when we're looking for, like we can see the entire game.
Yeah.
And we said like in order for them to get back in the game, they need to go for bot tier 1.
Yep.
And they went for bot tier 1.
They got it.
And that's really hard to like. For
When you're
us,
that far
like
behind.
we can see everything. There's like no fog of
I'm
war.
a backseat analyst.
But,
I can say,
we can say
boys.
whatever we want. But like for Chiefs to see that like slim, like it's so hard to see opportunities when you're behind. It just showed that like this is a team that deserves to be here, and this will be a good game, a good best of 5.
So then going into game 2, the casters were saying, like, if you're Jesh and you're coaching the Chiefs, what do you ban out then? Because the Victor looked dangerous, the Morgana seemed like a pocket pick, taking away from Ejim, you know, the Zach, which we were skeptical of upstairs, but then once Shen started playing, it's like, oh no, he's good with
as
Zach.
you said, like this game fell out of proportion from Spooks' level 1 gank. So like it's so hard to talk about champions and talk about like matchups. Like sure, like Victor blew up. Sure, Schernfire Zach looked amazing, but you don't need to ban it.
I'll give the TLDR quickly. Or do you want to talk about them in the rooms or not?
Yeah, they are.
I think the
It's a lot
TLDR,
of snacks.
the TLDR of that game was like you pick Gragas to like abuse the Zach, and if you can't abuse him, and you ruin that spike, that window that you have to abuse him, then you're in like a pretty bad position. So I think that the pick ban was fine. I think it's just more or less going back to the fundamentals, going back to the basics in where like Spooks don't invade if you don't have your lanes in their lane. You know what I mean? Like just go back to the fundamentals and play this game like it's simple. It's not a simple game, but just play it like it's simple.
Look at the snack differential. You got the Chiefs, right? They've got both salted and salt and vinegar chips available. Direwolves, no snacks at all, I can see. I think I see half a can of Red Bull and some hand warmers. I mean, these guys are obviously they're not taking the snack game seriously. But they're up 1-0, so, you know.
Oh, what's this? They're on there's a computer. Look like they're doing VOD review already. I mean, yeah, both of these teams are very... This is really interesting, looking at these two teams and what they're doing in between games. But...
The Direwolf facilities,
yeah,
coming in with the laptops and stuff.
And also they've pinned their own jerseys along the wall as well. Also, new jerseys from Direwolves looking good.
They've got
like
the wolf snout. Yeah. And then I saw Chippy's before, and he's just like, oh, that's for when I put it up on my face, bro. Like with his New Zealand accent, I love Chippy's, and he puts it on his face, and it looks like you got a wolf nose.
You want a team with Chippy?
No, I love Chippy.
No, but just in relation to the picks, yeah, you don't really ban anything. Like sure, Jace looked good. But like we were actually saying, the Cho matchup looked quite nice, and
it looked alright.
It looked
Even
pretty
though
good.
it got
Like the sustain was really nice. Like despite a 0-5-2 scoreline, the Armored Titan performed well. What?
Really?
You don't think he did?
No.
No.
We knew Zach. So at level 4, we knew Zach was topside. He
Oh,
literally
no,
got shown topside.
Yes, that's true.
And then he just died. Not died. He had to burn flash for like a real
for free.
basic gank, and that set the tone for his lane, in my opinion.
Yes, but I think he did a good job of nullifying
To
a
recover.
3-0. To recover, I think he did a good job. And that maybe just be the matchup. But this guy, you can definitely see most improved player of the split. I would like to see him on an ideal matchup. I think they would have be picking red side because they get to choose game 2. I would like them to pick red side just so they can give Swiper a good matchup. And really, that's probably the first time we'll see Chippies on a matchup that he's not picked. He's not given an advantageous position.
Chiefs have elected blue side for game 2. So going into this,
they picked blue.
They picked blue side going into game 2. So they do not get that counter pick, but they will be able to pick first. And what's interesting about that first drafting round from game 1 is in that third spot they could have picked for Swiper, but instead they picked Ali. So they picked for Ejim over Swiper. And I know the casters when that was happening were confused by that. Well, not confused, but they were like, look, why don't you pick for the Swiper now? Get him on the Nar because it's a comfort pick.
Yeah, like going into this game 2, I think Chiefs already know. Like, don't be too down. Like, despite that game steamrolling into a 13k. Like that game was over within 7 seconds of this second team fight. But I think Chiefs will have the mental fortitude to recover, and they'll pick a stable composition, probably similar to what we just saw. But we'll see not some level 3 invade where Spooks falls behind.
Yeah, I think they're not going to change much. I think Chiefs have to have a lot. You have to give them a lot of credit for their mental fortitude. I know Gauntlet last split when they were 2-0 down, they came back and played some of the best League of Legends that I saw like all series. So I think it's definitely going to be, this game's going to be much more competitive. I think the first game's when you get like all of your nerves, all your really bad mistakes out, and you're like, okay, boys, that was the first game warming up. I'm not nervous anymore. So I think we can expect to see like a lot better League of Legends.
All right, well, that wraps up Game 1, but do not go away because we're about to get into Game 2. So let's check out some highlights from that first loss to the Chiefs.
Later from the Chiefs means first blood goes to the Direwolves. And King now wants to get in there. Double knockup. It's going to be Surefire that goes back in. Finally, his passive gets popped, and it will be Egypt. That's the first casualty. The Chiefs do respond by taking down Surefire. Massive stun from them. Swiper flashes forward. Spooks gets the kill on top of that. They lock down the big tank from the Chiefs and kill him straight away. Chippies has joined the fight with teleport as well. For Swiffer, that is way too over-aggressive. Egypt jumps in. Spooks separates the team. Raze pulls his support back out. But now Surefire jumps in with the Black Shield. He's going to be taking down Swiffer, delivering Egypt back into the team as well. Clinical team fight from Direwolves, and what the heck are the Chiefs doing? Swiffer comes back in, throws his full combo, not enough to take him down, and 2-on-1! Fantix styles on the Chiefs. That's the Hail Mary play. They lock down Fantix, but they can't kill him just yet. Redemption comes through, keeping the mid lane of the Direwolves alive. Raze will be knocked back here, dropping the base on top of everyone else. That's all over. Swiffer's running away. Swiper's trying to be a nuisance. Big pulverize coming out from Egypt, but is it enough? It is surely not, as 4 members of the Chiefs fall. The Hail Mary play from Spooks did not work, but it's a clinical game 1 for the Direwolves.